What's up, guys? This is Corey, also known as QC Raj here, just hitting you with another one. Thank you for being so patient. I've had some video issues, and so I wasn't able to get this season of the YouTube channel off with kind of syncing up with the podcast, but we're going to do the best we can. But I wanted to do a video on perspective. Being part of the YouTube community and being able to get to know some YouTubers, I get a chance to kind of take in the info. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on the different gig economy platforms, and one thing that I really want to encourage is having a proper perspective. I think I said this before on either the podcast or on one of my other videos, is that these platforms are not fully grown up companies. You just go back 10 years and just think of how many of these companies actually existed. And just think of some of the companies that are considered legacy companies, and think about how long they've been doing things and how long things are put together. And a lot of times I hear people complain that everything's not just the way they want it, or everything's not just the way that or as good as it could be. And that's with any job. I've worked for Fortune 50 companies. I've worked for small mom and pop shop. Usually the big difference is the mom and pop shops are going to be a better work environment, but they're not going to have all the amenities, all the extras that the big companies do have. And so I really think that when we think about Uber, Lyft, and Shipped and all these other companies, you really got to have perspective. There's going to be things about the platforms that aren't quite right. Now, nagging things that keep lingering, months, years into the platform, I can see legitimate complaints, but I see stuff where I see people complaining about stuff that literally Uber hasn't even implemented. They talked about what they want to do. No one has seen it work, and people are already complaining about it. And it's just like, you don't have a proper perspective. You need to wait on it. Try it out. I'll give you an example. So some months ago, when Uber changed the way they calculate the surge and for drivers, and pretty much gave us that set dollar amount, I had my first ride with that, and I got a $5 surge amount. And the ride was literally about 30 miles. It was a long ride, and I was really upset because I was like, man, if I would have got a surge on this, I would have made a lot more money. And I even contacted Uber about it, and I even talked about it. I said, this is this is not cool. Then I had a situation where I took a ride, and it was like a 5-minute ride, and the surge amount was the amount that they were giving was like $11. And I looked through the fare details, and literally on that ride, Uber had lost over $3 on that ride. And I realized, there's going to be times when this new system makes me a lot of money. And there's going to be times when this system, Uber is going to be the winner. And that's okay. It's okay to not win every time. You just think of your job. If you work a 9 to 5, how many times does your boss or your boss's boss win versus how many times you win? And I think people have this mentality that at every level the company has to lose money, but they don't want to take on the things that the company has to take on. No one wants to take on Uber's liability because they'll be insane. But everybody wants to watch every penny that Uber makes. I don't know if this is news to you guys, but no one starts these businesses to lose money. And most of these ride-sharing companies are not profitable yet. Uber is not profitable in the sense of its total business. They are profitable in their U.S. business. on their U.S. I'm sorry, in their U.S. driving business. Lyft is not profitable. A lot of these companies, they're not profitable yet. So I'm not saying that you have to be the way that the company makes money. That's just absurd. But what I am saying is there has to be an equalizing. There has to be a point where, where you're happy with what you make. Don't always count what the next person's trying to make. I know for me, I just gotten to the point where if I'm okay with what I made, if it pays my bills, I'm happy. Where you can go in and look up every fair detail. I remember when they changed that, drivers were posting it on forums and everything. And then I was like, you know what I don't see? No one's posting on the forum when they made more than what Uber made on the ride. It's funny how we get real good at math when before we actually have to show that we benefit. And so it's one of those things where, are you just contributing to a negative narrative, or do you actually have a legitimate gripe? And I think sometimes all the whining and complaining, it waters down the total message. There are legitimate things that these platforms need to work on. But if it's buried in the noise of everybody complaining about something or this and that, I mean, they launched a redesign to the app, and I saw like 40 videos on I'm not impressed with the new CEO's announcement. And it's like, it wasn't designed to impress you. It was to introduce a new product or a new format and tell you the thinking that went into it, so that you don't have to put up the video complaining about it. And it's just one of those things where the motivation for doing a video like that is mostly clickbait. I want to switch my camera around. 88, thank you. Is mostly clickbait. And so a lot of times the people who are making these complaints, look at their history for the videos that they're making. Like I literally see some YouTubers where I don't think they've ever made a positive video about about Uber or Lyft. And it's literally been 3 years that they've been on the platform. Now, let me ask you, if you got to the point where you were complaining about your job every day for 3 years straight, to the point that you made extra content about your complaints, would you still do it? Like, really, would you still do it? So it can't be all bad. When I get customers that come into they get my car and they ask me, do I enjoy doing Uber? I tell them very honestly, you have to. And they say, well, I hear some people, they get frustrated with it. I said, then why are you still allowing a complete stranger to get in your car? Why are you putting yourself at harm in a vehicle when you're doing Uber? You don't know that person. They're within arm length of you. You have your back to that person. Why are you doing all that if you hate the platform? And you're doing it for years. So let's be real. Let's put some perspective on the opportunity, the gig economy, these platforms. Give them the proper ways to breathe. And I even know it myself. Sometimes there's channels that I can voice my frustration about the different platforms, and I'll go a different way. And so let's just do better. Let's just, as drivers, as partners, as whatever you want to call us, let's just take the time to say, you know what, I have a legitimate complaint. I reached out to the support team. I raised my complaint. And if they react to it, great. If they don't, you have one or two options. You can either say the complaint's significant enough that I'm going to get off the platform and not deal with it anymore. Or you can say, you know what, at the end of the day, the complaint doesn't change whether I believe that this is a good opportunity. And that's just my 2 cents on it. As always, I want to plug the website, gigessentials.com. That's where you can find links to my podcasts, Patreon to support what I do, blog, anything that I have is connected to gigessentials.com. So check that out, and I appreciate the people who go to the site and support me there. I'm going to try to keep this pretty regular, doing some content, even if it's not the edited, polished content. If it's just me talking talking to you guys and in line waiting to get my son, I'm just trying to give you guys steady content, but valid content. I don't want to just be an echo chamber for everything else that you hear out there. So until the next one, peace.